Hey YouTube, this is Amanda. This is actually going to be my first video on this channel at BittersweetZombie. I created this channel to make gaming content, but its first video is actually going to be a vlog, so here it is. About 3 months ago, something really tragic in my life happened. My father, David, passed away. And a lot of people know that my dad was my hero and my rock. And the person that mattered to me most in life, honestly. I've been living with a lot of regret lately. And I want to use this video as a way to express my feelings that I sometimes feel I can't talk to people about. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have an amazing boyfriend who I love very much and loves me. I live in a great apartment, even though it kind of looks messy in the background. This video is going to be incredibly hard for me, and I can't promise it, but I will try my best not to get over emotional and make this into a big crying scene. But sometimes I have a lot easier time talking to a camera and expressing my feelings than I do to people. And if you can watch my video and it helps you in some way, then I'll be happy, because it's already making me feel a little bit better. My dad passed away on December 30th at around 6:30. I don't know the exact time of death, but me, my boyfriend, and my roommate were playing this new game that I had gotten. It was a board game. We were just sitting there, and I had my phone on me, and I got a Facebook message from a nurse that worked at the rehab center where my dad was at, saying that I needed to call the place because something had happened. So I called there. They told me that they found my dad unresponsive in his room, and I was freaking out. That's never happened with my dad. So this was something that was completely new. They had told me that he had been transferred to the hospital. So I called the hospital, and they said that they were doing everything they can to revive him, and that they would give me a call back. And 30 minutes later, I got a call back from the doctor saying that my dad had passed away. They couldn't revive him. He went. And I feel like that was the moment my world came crashing down around me. It was the hardest thing, and it still is the hardest thing I've ever had to do and to deal with. The next day, I was in Shelby, Ohio, which was where the care center and the hospital were. My Uncle Rob actually drove me there, which to this day I'm still thankful for, because I wouldn't have been able to do that by myself. And it was probably the hardest day. It was the hardest night, even. I kept getting flooded with messages from people saying, I'm sorry, and if there's anything you need, I'm here. And I appreciate those a lot, by the way. A lot of people did reach out to me, and I really appreciate that, but at that point, I couldn't do it. I couldn't deal with it. My best defense mechanism is to hide how I'm actually feeling. So I went through a lot of turmoil inside that I had to mask because I don't like showing people how I feel. I don't like crying in front of people. I just don't like showing emotion to others, and it's always been a flaw of mine. But I mean, I can only be the best person I can be. But here lately, it's gotten a lot worse. After my dad did pass away, I was doing okay for a while. It was hard, but I was living. I was getting through it. And I felt that me trying to brush my feelings off made it a whole lot worse because those feelings caught up to me. And when I started going through my dad's stuff, I would look at his papers. That's when I exploded. I still to this day can't go through his stuff. I have to have my boyfriend move his stuff for me because I can't even deal with it. That's just a little backstory. If you go back to October, my dad was in the hospital because he was having problems with his heart. He had a defibrillator, like, in his chest, like a pacemaker, attached to his heart to control his heartbeat, whether it was going too fast or too slow. And that kept going off. So they had to go in and fix that. And it was the first time I had ever heard my dad say that he didn't think he was going to make it through. My boyfriend was with me, and I did everything. I said, you're going to make it through this. Everything's going to be okay. Even though inside I was just as scared. And that was the first time in 22 years my dad has ever said, if I do die, everything I have goes to you. Everything he had did go to me. I'm sorry. And he made it through the surgery okay. But I had to take time off of work to be with him, which wasn't a big deal to me. My family's more important to me than work, and always will be. I was a GameStop employee for about a year and a month before I left. I wasn't fired. I put in my 2 weeks and resigned. It kind of came at a good time because my boyfriend wanted me to move in with him. And as I'm about to get into, GameStop wasn't very gracious with me. Back in October, I had to take the time off to be with my dad. And his surgery to fix his heart got postponed not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it was to no fault of me or my dad. It was the hospital. And when I got back to GameStop, I got back on a Monday, so it was a weekend deal. That Monday even, he was having the surgery finally, and I wasn't there. So I had to go to work with that on my mind, because most people can separate home life from work life, but that was just the one moment I couldn't. My mind was completely on my dad, 100%. I got back to work that day, and my boss took me to the back room where he will talk to employees about stuff. And he told me that I didn't accomplish anything he wanted for the week, which I did everything within my power. There were some circumstances behind some of the stuff I needed to do that I can't remember now because honestly it's not important to me anymore. He told me that I didn't accomplish anything he set out for me. He also told me that I should have came back to work if my dad wasn't having the surgery. And I don't regret the time that I spent with my dad. My dad and I actually had a lot of fun while he was in the hospital, and my boyfriend was there, and my boyfriend got to spend time with my dad, which my boyfriend now is the only person I've ever introduced to my dad because he's incredibly special to me and I love him to death. And that was kind of the point where I knew that my time at GameStop had ended. And it's so funny now because even as I put in my 2 weeks, I wanted to leave as graciously as I could. And I was even further accused of making a mistake where $100 was missing from one of the registers. And my boss was so sure that I did it. But he finally went back and looked at tapes showing it was somebody else. And the reason I bring this up is that I couldn't even quit GameStop without being given a lot of shit. I wanted to end it on good terms, and if they had to let me go within my 2 weeks of my final 2 weeks, it would be, what did they call it? I don't remember the exact term for it, but basically I would be unrehirable to them, which I wanted to be rehirable because I wanted to leave on good terms, and if I moved to somewhere where they had another GameStop, maybe I could work there. After this whole experience, I will probably never work at GameStop ever again. And I had to learn that lesson the hard way. But the guilt that I have is that I devoted a year to my job. I loved my job. It had its shitty sides. It had its good sides. But I loved my job. I loved what I did. I did my damnedest, and I gave 100% to my job. No matter what was thrown at me, I was a girl. I was the only girl in a prominently male workplace, and I did everything I could. I had coworkers who were not on my side. They would gossip about me and say untrue things about me at every turn. They would cover their ass and let everybody take the bullet before they get in trouble. That's not the person I was raised to be. I am the person that I will lay on a grenade for anybody. I will take the bullet. I will be thrown under the bus for anybody. That's how big my heart is. And it's very hard to look back on that and realize that I devoted a year of my time to people and a corporation that didn't care about me at all. It wasn't just my coworkers. It was actually a higher up as well that treated me very poorly. I am not going to name names on here. I don't believe in mudslinging. But it was another higher up above my boss who treated me very poorly, had very unconventional to this day beliefs. There was a point in time where he was there and he actually told how he politically correctly, I guess, told all of us that he hates gay people. And that was kind of a low blow for me. I love everybody. That's just how I've always been. That's how I was raised, just to love everybody. I guess that's not the point, though. I'm kind of going on a tangent. It's hard for me now to realize that I spent an entire year devoting myself to a job that didn't care about me, that didn't care about my issues with my family, and just, it burns me inside that I could have spent that time with my dad. I took advantage of the time I had with my dad. My dad was so understanding that I needed to work and to pay bills and to try and get ahead in life because he didn't want me to be where he was at some points. And I've lived with that regret since he died. And it's so hard for me to talk about that because even the mention of my dad sometimes will just make me bawl like I'm about to, honestly. But I want to make this video because for anybody out there who still has both their parents, just fucking treasure them. It doesn't even have to be a parent either. I mean, it could be mom, dad, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, cousin. It could be anybody. But I'm going to try and move past the heartache that I go through every day because of the regret I have, and try to remember all the good times I had with my dad, which there were a lot of them. And this is kind of a promise to myself as well, because my dad always wanted to see me succeed. And I've talked with my boyfriend about going back to school because I do want to have a degree. I want to find a job that I like without people who just want to gossip about me. I want to create more content online because that's something else I love to do. I love to put stuff out on YouTube. I love streaming on Twitch. I love interacting with people all over the world and entertaining them because I'm such a dork. But I am going to wrap this video up. I just want to say thank you for watching the entire thing. And I will catch you next time.